because as you know, yeah, uh, as you know, the teachers, we spend a substantial amount of time in boarding school environment, and the teachers that taught us at that time, and even before us, like the A batches and all, I was noticing we never had an opportunity to capture what they thought about the school post, after leaving the school, what impact it had on them, what contribution they made. It's just an opportunity for us to catch up on our memoirs. And Samjhanaka Palharu was a name given by Kaushal Bhai. I mentioned, hey, this is what I wanted to do. Can we pull this together? And we worked with SEBS North America, and Kaushal Bhai came up with design and say, okay, this is exactly, we want it to be a very simple format, but we still wanted to allow opportunity for interaction, because such opportunities now is possible through Zoom and other social media. So why not utilize that? And we are recording this event in the hope that posterity down the road would be able to see what an impact and contribution you all made. So let me start by asking you, would you please tell us about your own growing up in Darjeeling, your educational background, and then leading up to that, what brought you to Nepal?
Well, it's quite an interesting story, Kiran. And as you're aware, I was born and brought up in Darjeeling. Even though I'm a Wilson, a Robert Wilson, and I was stopped on the road yesterday, and someone asked me, said, "You have a very anglicized name." I said, "What happened?"
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah. She said. He asked me, he said, "You got a very anglicized name." So I said, "Yeah, blame my father and mother. But I was born in the hills. So for me, even though I'm not Nepali, but in all aspects, I always call myself a Pahari. I was a Pahari, I was a hill boy. So for me, culturally, totally, I was born, living in the hills. So I love the hills. And for me, Nepali was my major language that I spoke. But when I came into Burailenkantha, you know me, I was a stickler because I said, you are the national school, you are the future leaders of the country. So for me, English is very important. Anyway, I did my education at St. Joseph, passed out, went to do my bachelor's and master's at Darjeeling Government College, finished out, and then got into teaching, I would say by chance, but no regrets whatsoever. I love teaching. I love being with students. And in fact, in the latter part of my professional career, I lost out on teaching because I went more into administration and later into university administration, which was a bit, in my opinion, was a loss for myself and a loss for the community to a great extent. I started teaching in North Point in 1997, 96 to be precise. And North Point was a great public school, very prestigious. Following in those days the ICSC and the ISC syllabus, different kind of teaching. But the problem with working in a Jesuit school is that there is no prospects for growth. So you give your absolute best, you give whatever you could. So I was so actively involved in drama, in sports, in teaching, in sort of doing a lot of things, but nothing beyond that. And I felt restricted. And Darjeeling being a very small town, it was kind of a situation where I said, I got to move out. In one of the years, we visited Kathmandu, and I actually visited Burailenkantha temple and paid my reverence there. And then the driver drove us up to the school, and I said to myself, what a beautiful school. What a beautiful school. And I like the layout. I like the school. We weren't allowed to enter in those days. So I looked at it from the gate and I said, I'd love to come to this school and teach. Well, I got an opportunity because a friend of mine said, Robert, there's an opportunity in Burailenkantha. They're looking for teachers. Would you like to apply? So I said, I'd love to apply, but how do we do that? In those days, there was no internet. There was the only way you could get things done was through letters. And the deadline was very close. So to be honest, I have to share the secrets. I did something very improper. This friend of mine, very, very dear friend, he's passed away now, may his soul rest in peace. He filled up the form for me and he said, how do I sign? I said, you can sign whatever way you want. It makes no difference. Just sign it. And these are all my details. So he did, we talked on the phone. So he filled up the form and 3 days later, I got a call in Darjeeling from Mr. John Tyson. I'm coming to Darjeeling. I'd like to meet you at the Windermere. No problem. So I met Mr. John Tyson at the Windermere Hotel in Darjeeling. And he says, how soon can you join? I said, no, with due respect to the school, I have to give notice. So I said, I'll check my notice period. And it turned out to be 2 months, I think. So I said, I can only join in June of 1983. So he says, you come along, we'll send you, we'll organize everything for you, your accommodation and everything. So I said, fair enough. I said, and then I said, what will I be teaching? He said, you'll be teaching this. He says, but at that moment, he told me, there may also be an opportunity for you to take over a house. Now, we were not familiar with the house systems as such, the individual house systems. But anyway, we said, I was always open to challenges. So got on the night bus from little children, Richard and Sirin, you guys would probably remember them. They're not little anymore. And reached, no, we had a lot of trouble on the way because the bus broke down and a lot of things happened. Anyway, eventually reached Kathmandu and got into the what's his name? The driver. What day was it? Ganesh. Yeah, my wife is prompting me, Purnima is prompting me. Ganesh picked us up and now says, sir, then of course I spoke Nepali and said, come on, let's go up to the school. So we drove into the hallowed gates of Buranilkanta school and we reached the accommodation. I didn't see any students. So I said, where are all the students? I think it was probably a Saturday and the students were not there. And I said to myself, okay, nice school. So I went and settled in and all that. Got things moving. Next morning went to dressed up, and of course, you know, I always used to love my tie and my coat. So put my tie on my coat and went. And so I didn't see any students. I saw a couple of students running around in these faded blue trousers, these famous faded blue trousers that Buranilkanta had in those days. And then I realized why it was faded, because the dhobi would put it out on the sun on the opposite side, and one side would be nice and white, and the other side would be the normal blue color. I said, what have I come into? Anyway, got into class, and the first class I had to teach was Dipendra's class. So, of course, you know, I knew who the crown prince was, and I got into the class, and I said, went in there, and I saw this, you know, these guys so improperly dressed, some in chappals and some in shirt wide open, and you kind of said to myself, what are you guys doing? I mean, I'm sorry, but so I said, excuse me, my name's Robert Wilson. I've come from North Point, and in my class, guys came to school with their blazers on. They wore ties. And right. We were immaculately dressed. And that's the first thing that we do in this school, because you are the national school of Nepal. And everybody looked at me and said, it's not happening. Okay, whatever. You know, that kind of attitude. And, you know, being young and a little bit wanting to do things in the right way, I asked them to introduce themselves. So they started the introduction. And this is so fresh in my memory. And I never forget the crown prince. I said, and you? I said, I'm Dipendra 832. And of course, I didn't know why you used the numbers at that stage. It was a little too early. He said, I'm 832. I said, what does your father do? I said, he's the king. I said, what? He said, he's the king of Nepal. I said, oh, wonderful. Said, please sit down. You know, and it was one of those amusing moments at that particular time. So started the school, started there and started teaching. Within 3 days, I actually ran back home one day and I told the wife, I said, I don't think so I can last here. I said, I don't think so I can last in the school. It doesn't have the class, the culture, the history, the heritage that a school should have. Then I sat back and I said to myself, I said, you've burnt your bridges. You burnt your bridges, you moved on. Well, this is a challenge in life, do it. And to be honest, that's a chapter of my life. If you ask me to relive it again, I would relive it completely with a different attitude, I guess, because with the maturity and the seriousness and the experiences that you've had. But it was one of the most beautiful experiences in my life. And even though there were times when I guess there was a lot of opposition to what I was doing and what I was trying to do, but it was a wonderful experience because, in my opinion, you guys, all you guys, were just unbelievable. I look at it now and I say, you were unbelievable raw material which we could have made into anything that we wanted to. And that's the reason why I I give it a lot of thought. And when they asked me to frame out the motto of Annapurna House, I said, there's only one thing I believe in is leadership. And I said, you are the leader. And many a time I had to tell the boys, I said, you are the leaders. You are the people who are going to change this country. You are the people who are going to make a difference to the world. And to be honest, that's what you all have done. Sadly, in my humble opinion, I would say Burhanilkantha wasn't quite the success that I would have anticipated it to be, because a lot of the students who went out of the country, left the country, they drained the country of that intelligence, that brain, that leadership, and all that. And sadly enough, those who were left behind, they were not taken care of. And in my opinion, that is the biggest failure of Burhanilkantha. That's the biggest failure of Burhanilkantha, which I believe, which is I still say it's wrong, because people leave. Okay, you go out to make your life. That's nice. It's wonderful. But bottom line is, how does the country benefit? How does a beautiful country like ours, Nepal, benefit? There's so much of brain drain. I guess everybody has to take care of their families. Everybody has to do what they have to do. But we lost so much of talent, so much of knowledge that we imparted to, so much that we give to these students. And Hira and myself, I'm sure Hira will agree with me. The hours that we put in, the care that we put in, the love that we give you, the knowledge that we give, it just, we lost a lot of it. So I think that's my biggest regret, that Burhanilkantha didn't, give everyone a chance to go abroad and do what they have to do. Family is important. I'm totally for that. But at least those who remain behind, bring them together. The alumni has got to be stronger. And I just heard that young gentleman there talking about the calendar and the community libraries. I think that's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. And I would be most willing, and as I'm sure Hira would, and we as teachers, ex-teachers of Burhanilkantha would be very happy to do, is give our knowledge, give our expertise, share the wisdom that we have to people who are less fortunate. And that's why I've never ever thought of moving back to Darjeeling. I never thought of settling in Dubai. You could never settle in Dubai forever. I never went to Australia where I worked, or in the US where I worked too. But I always said I want to come back to Kathmandu because I have faith in Kathmandu. I believe in the lovely people of Kathmandu. And I'm presently in Bangalore. We came into Bangalore to attend ex-colleague of mine, my wife's birthday celebrations here. But to be honest, a few days back, I had a lovely afternoon. Whole afternoon we were chatting with Om Prakash Yadav. He drove over, he says, sir, can I come home and see you? I said, you're most welcome, come anytime. I'm a retired man, I'm doing nothing. I have a couple of projects here and there. And we sat and chatted for almost 3 hours, 4 hours. At the end, I had to tell him, Om, you better go, I need to catch up on my sleep. Otherwise, I'll no longer be the beautiful chap that I am. So, but we had a lovely, lovely chat. And we were talking about all the things in the school and the wonderful things which we did there. It's such a great school, such a great school. Unfortunately, to be very honest now, I see a major decline in the school. I see a major decline. I don't think so. The present leadership, with due respect to what their thoughts are, due respect to the politics, I don't think so. They see the vision of the school. I don't see they understand. I mean, the school is such a pathetic state. Uh, and I look back at my experiences and say, most of you guys are in the US, but if you ever visit Harvard, I mean, Harvard's the most unique business model that you can see, where the alumni are so powerful and so much contribution they are making. The endowments that Harvard gets is just amazing. And that makes such a difference in life. That makes such a difference in life. And I don't know why the school is not tapping into the alumni, but the alumni will not give just for the sake of giving. You've got to have a more structured approach. What do you want to do? It's not only buildings. It's not only buildings. It's the guidance. It's the counseling, the advice, the fallback. I mean, you hear of our students who left, and my students. I remember I heard about Narayan. I mean, I was Narayan in your group, Kiran.
Yeah.
I heard Narayan, what happened to him. And I say, why didn't he have systems to fall back? Why didn't he call me? He could have called me. I would have spoken to him. Okay, if you have made a decision that you want to do something, there's nothing I can do to change it. But at least we need to have systems in place where people can talk to each other. People can approach each other. See, I mean, I was talking to Om, I said, come to me anytime. I'm here. Anything for your children, I'm here. Ask. I cannot give you advice in Kathmandu, but if you want to go to university, you want to do anything in the US or in Canada or in Australia or in Dubai or in Malaysia, ask. I'm not going to say you need to pay me. It's a free service because I want to give back. And Kiran came into Kathmandu the last time I met him, and he was doing some training with the government services over there. And then you kind of say, that's what I want to see. I want you guys to come back and not for forever, come back and give us your expertise. Give Buranilkanta, give back to the school. Not money, not necessarily money, but give back what you can. Because they need us. The school needs it. The school needs a vision which will definitely take it on the right path. It's not, to be honest, let me tell you one thing. You guys tell me, you've been in the world, in a different world altogether. Is it all about education? Is it all about getting top grades in the SLC or the O levels or the A level? It's about what you add to yourself as a person, what you add to society as a person. And that's most important. So I think my main call to you guys and to the entire community is, what are we giving back? What can we give back? So that's, so I've had a lovely journey with Buranilkanta. After I left Buranilkanta, I went to Dubai, to be honest, in search of petrodollars. I never ever found it, but it doesn't matter. God is good, as we say. God is good. And the bottom line is I was able to give my children a good education. They went out, they settled down, they're doing well. I left total schools. I left and went into universities. So I set up 3 universities in Dubai. So sadly, a person who was a Pakka school master, who was a real headmaster of a school, had to leave and then go out just because, he had to do what he had to do. Well, it was a good life. And I'm back in Nepal now, permanently back in Nepal. And as I said, enjoying myself, love the area where I live, and talk to a lot of people, talk to a lot of children, and want to give back to the community. And I think that's something which I would love to be involved in a place like Buranilkanta.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that vision, and then you still continue to motivate all of us. One of the things that I've been meaning to ask you was, what are the lessons that you learned? Buranilkanta was so many things to so many of us in so many different ways. what was it to you, and what lessons that you learned from Brian School and you took outside in your real professional journey post
Well,
Brian?
I think that's a very nice question. I think the biggest lesson I learned from Guru Kanta School was to throw away your arrogance and to stop thinking you know everything. When I was in Guru Kanta, I kept thinking that, I'm from St. Joseph, North Point, Darjeeling. I know everything. You didn't. I think there's one of the lessons which I did learn was never try to impose your views on others. Rather than constantly being, wanting to have it done in your way, take a step back and look at it from another perspective. See, I look back at one of the things one of the mistakes I made, and I'll say it's a mistake. I kept saying, we are the national school, we English is very important. And when I was always at the housemaster's meeting, I always said that we need to keep English as a focal point for our students so that they're fluent once they go out into the world. That was a mistake. And that was, in my opinion, that was a big mistake, because but there's nothing wrong in being bilingual. There's nothing wrong in being bilingual. Yes, the processing time of a person is much longer when you have to convert it from English, from Nepali, from English into Nepali and back into English, or vice versa. And I always said, but to be honest, I look back now and I think of what Mr. John Tyson said. He said, it's all right if they speak Nepali. It's okay if they speak Nepali because that's their mother. But I said, you have brought them into the school to make them future citizens of the world and for them to speak English. So I think that was a lesson I learned, that stop trying to think that you're right and learn from the students. Let them give you their advice. Let people like Ramraj and Vishal and all of you guys, Sailesh, give us your views and say, I think that's a good idea, rather than thinking it's a good idea for me. So that the lesson, the biggest lesson, the takeaway I had from Buralil Kanta was, I said to myself, I am never ever in my life going to be hated by students. I felt there was a lot of hatred in Buralil Kanta because of my, I would say, orthodox views, very strong views about how you dress, how you behave, how you go down to Naranthan. You don't walk to Naranthan in your chappals and your flip-flops and whatever you have. You go out dressed properly because you represent a school. You represent a body. You represent the country. And I always believed that was the most important lesson. So I said to myself, I'm never going to be hated by students. Mind you, the same students who actually had a bone to pick with me, many of them came later and said, sir, we're sorry about what happened. I said, what sorry? Those are lessons we learned. I said, he said, but if you ask me now, can I put my son under you? Can I put my daughter under you? And I said, then I must have done something good somewhere. But that's the biggest takeaway I got. Children are just beautiful. You guys are just lovely. And I think that's the biggest lesson I learned. Give them love and they will give you love back. Give them affection, give them knowledge, give them understanding as a teacher, as a mentor, as a partner, and you're a success. And I went out, I left after I went into modern school, the kids loved me. I went into university, the students loved me. Anything they needed, they'd come to me. I was firm at times. I said, no. For example, I said, you will not smoke on the campus because it was a non-smoking campus at college, not in school. Of course, I knew where you guys used to go to smoke. And I used to be there and sometimes in the dark standing. Because it wasn't the right thing to do. I mean, you'll admit now it wasn't right. You wouldn't want your kid to be smoking when he was 12, 13 years old because there are lots of negative effects of it. So the lessons I learned were tremendous. And as I said at the start, if you ask me to relive my life, I would go back to Buralil Kanta. To be honest, I wish I could be the headmaster because I would change it dramatically because it needs change. It needs, as I said, a significant shift in its direction to become the national school, to contribute to the country. And I keep stressing this, the contribution to the community and the country, because that's what we need to do. Yeah, and so.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing your experiences from the Blankenton school. One thing that I've always wondered was, you left around what, 1992, 93?
No. I left in 89.
89, right? So what did it feel like for you when your own sons and daughters could not go to BNKS? Like, was that a factor that played into why you left?
Yes, I mean, I think but, see, I was always a very I won't say an ambitious person, but a very career focused person. And I always believed that there was a complete lack of understanding of what the school was all about. I approached even the Buralinganta School board and I said, there's no understanding of what it is. Buralinganta School is a different concept altogether. I mean, there was an incident when Dipendra was, he was always up to his tricks. And when Her Majesty and His Majesty came up to the school, I mean, I remember the words which echoed in my ears. He said, he is an ordinary student of the school. He is also a student like anyone in the school. He is 832 Dipendra. And for me, those kind of just hit me here when I said, everybody is similar. And when you remember those days when we had that incident with Mr. Burgess and Dipendra, and we were in Annapurna House, and I actually winked at my what's his name, Ram Bahadur, 915. And I said, Ram, come and stand up over here. And I slapped him in front of the entire assembly for just as play acting. And I said, why aren't you guys reacting? I said, why aren't you guys reacting? He said, I just slapped Ram Bahadur to your head, boy. And of course, Ram was very understanding, and he knew I was play acting with him. And I said, for me, everybody is equal in this school. Everybody. There is no plus points. I mean, it's a sad life he led in many ways, but the bottom line is they're all equal in my life. And there were many things in the school which I didn't like. And of course, why I left, sadly, is because I felt that things were not right. But I also, as I shared with Kiran some time back, was the fact that when my own son was not allowed, I mean, I had to beg and plead for him to join the school. I felt, I said, why? He said, we don't allow Indian. I said, I've never felt like an Indian. And I said, what's the difference between an Indian and a Nepali? We're all the same. If you cut my hand, blood will flow. If you cut Kiran's hand, blood will flow. If you hit him on the head, he'll feel pain, so will I. So what's the difference? Why? And I said, if I am contributing to the school, I should have an equal right as anyone in the school. And if you do not let my child join the school, I don't want to be in the school. Because if my philosophy in life has always been that if a school or if an educational institute is not good for my child, it is not good for your child. I would never advise you to put your child in that school. And that's what actually, to be honest, broke my backbone. And I said to myself, I hated the disparity. I hated the differential which we had. Sadly, there's not much difference in the responsibilities, in the teaching, in the capacities of the so-called expatriate teachers versus our Nepali teachers. But yet there was such a wide gap in the benefits and the perks and all that we got, which in my opinion was not the right way to run a school. I mean, there has to be equality, there has to be transparency, there has to be accountability. And these are things which should run throughout the school. And you can't have that kind of thing running in a school. So that's what, I'm sorry, someone's just calling me. Just a minute. Yeah, Angela's calling me. Just take it and say it.
Yeah. 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 Thank you for sharing that. One of the remarkable things that we all as a student admire about you were everywhere. You from play to sports to leadership to leading the house as a housemaster, teaching biology classes, and the kind of unique questions that you actually that you actually gave during the exams, that we had to critically think even to answer your exams question out there. So you were Robert Wilson, everything, everywhere.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, and still able to perform at the peak of things to the best of your ability. Is that the North Point education? Is that, or was that? Because I also noticed that you had a very supportive, strict mother in the family as well. So we remember her dearly as well. What was the family background that you grew up in, and what was the modeling of the school North Point did to you in preparation of everything everywhere? Robert, I mean, you're singing. I mean, your brother Patrick was. I mean, he came out to help us. I mean, you guys were. We sang. We won the house awards and everything. And then sports were equally from whatever the sports you name. And because of the things that you taught, and especially when after Shevachan just came, and the fact that he introduced hockey and he modernized all of the sports system. And it was just amazing time in BNKS. I mean, I would still consider that with the golden years, because not only we had the Darjeeling expat crowd that came in, we still had the students from the UK after the A-levels that they would come in and help out with the swimming and all others. And we had the British teachers still, and then we already had the Nepali teachers, the brilliant Nepali teachers from the ministry that came in, and then the existing. And if you look at the totality of that was the best times from our view as a student. And you were in the heart of all of that. Where did that energy come from? How did you get that?
Well, again, it's the Kiran, to be honest, it's all a passion. It's all a passion. You know, teaching is not about just simply a classroom. And I'm sure Hira will bear with me, Mrs. Gurung, as you were. She's also dynamic in her own way. She was so involved in so many things. I mean, you name it, she was there. Even her husband, Om, used to be involved in the singing and all. And we just love being in that environment. The school was such a beautiful place to be in. So, you know, you didn't need to have any internal energy or even any background. You just wanted to give. And in my opinion, I think my personal success was the fact that I was always pretty innovative in thinking. I never believed in the run of mill, especially since we had a lot of support from the ODA and the British Council and all that. So I always said to myself, why not use it? Why not do things which are different? You know, and I always said, we need to make a difference. And so that energy which was there, Kiran, it actually stemmed from the fact that I loved it. I loved doing it. I was always thinking. There was never, and I was, to be honest, I was always had my eyes and ears open. And I used to look at someone, I mean, take for example, one of the persons I learned a lot from was Mr. David Burgess, good friend of mine, good man. I learned a lot from him. When he left and Sewa came in, Sewa and myself, we worked together, and you know, we trained, we were involved in the football team, the hockey team, whatever, because it was just total passion. I still have that today. You tell me today, go back and teach people how to run, how to play squash or to play badminton. I would do it with gay abandon, because I just loved it. So the energy was always there, Kiran. And the thing was, you had such raw talent. You had such raw talent. Buranikanta was just raw talent. You just had to tap it. We didn't tap it well. We still, when I was there for 2 years, we won the what trophy was that? Ratna Shield. And I always remember there was a time when Mr. Subedi, we were I think we were drawing very with one team from the valley, and Mr. Subedi came up to me and said, "I think we need to change the goalkeeper." I said, "Why?" He said, "We'll put Dipendra in." I said, "Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it." I mean, Dipendra was the second choice goalkeeper, but he was not in the same class as the first goalkeeper. So why do we have to change it? I said, "Not at all. Keep the team running. Let the team go." We won. We won. Maybe had he played, we might have, nobody would have taken a shot at the goal. But the bottom line is, because we had such raw talent. All you guys were such raw talent, and we could mold you any way which we want, because that's what we wanted. We wanted you to excel in whatever you did, and you did. From drama to singing to all you guys just need a little bit of guidance. So that strength, I would say, Kiran, came from the fact that you motivated me, you instigated me. While I was at North Point, I did a lot of coaching of the football team, the hockey team, athletics. I was not involved in drama, not so much in singing. But when I came to Burelanganta, it became a natural part of your life, elocution and all that. So you guys, I believe, were the compelling factors which pushed me to another dimension. And I have to thank all of you for that, because I am what I am today because of my experiences with each and every one of you. Each and every one of you give me another dimension in my very existence. And I'm happy for that. No regrets at all. No regrets at all.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I also want to recognize Janak Dai. I don't know if you remember him, Janak, right here.
Who wouldn't recognize Janak? I know.
Yeah, and then Dr. Khan as well. Yeah. And Dr. Salim Khan as well. Maybe his camera is off, but Dr. Salim Khan, welcome as well. I see you there too, as well. So yeah. So at this time, I would like to open the floor for any students or any other members from this participating team to ask Robert sir any questions that you thought that you always wanted to ask him. I just wanted to get it going, but it is our forum, and if there are specific questions I think that you wanted to ask us, feel free. Go ahead. Floor is open. Just unmute yourself and just fire away your questions.
Kiranda, I think Jana Thapa ma'am is also here.
Fantastic, Jana ma'am. Thank you for joining.
And I
again.
missed her last time.
I've been coming in and out because I'm sorry about that. I mean, I really wanted to see what Robert looked like now. So good morning, Robert. It's been a long time.
It's all gone. It's all gone.
It was nearly all gone, even while you were at Burelanganta, if I remember. So unfortunately, I've been going in and out because, I've had a lot of phone calls. Saturdays, everyone thinks I'm sitting at home doing nothing. But fortunately, I also have a lot of weddings, but this time it's family weddings. So I just wanted to say hi and thank you again, Kiran, for giving us all these opportunities to connect. And hi to, of course, to Robert. And Robert, I'll definitely, after these weddings finish, I'll try and arrange a meeting face-to-face, okay? Physical meeting, as people call it. And
I
we'll
would
meet
love
together.
that.
It can be anywhere. It can be at my college. It can be at my house or wherever. We'll just gather some of us old fogies and get together.
Sounds
And thank you again, Kiran. And I think these things are recorded, aren't they? So somebody was asking me after my last stint there, how does one get the recording? I said, talk to Kiran. I know nothing about it. So I would definitely like to listen to Robert. Yeah. And just one more thing before I leave you all, which is that, when Robert came and he was already a polished, amazing teacher, we were sort of like completely, this Buran Kanto was like kind of we were very, very unpolished. Okay. We were learning all the time. Whereas when Robert came, I mean, he appeared to us as a perfect schoolmaster, whereas we were trying to be, schoolmasters. So that was the difference, I think. So have a good day, everyone. And I should leave now because the car's out there. I have to go to a wedding. Okay. So nice seeing you all. Right. Bye.
Right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you
Thank you.
for joining. Thank you. Yeah. So again, I'm going back to the Darjeeling crowd before other people jump into their questions, saying because at that time, when you think about Dr. Khan coming and contributing to making the entire science lab out there for us, which we still use today, SEBS says methodology for sports, which are we still, I think it's the same metrics that they still continue to use do today as well, and I think there was a Prasad sir also from India for a brief period of time, and I haven't been able to connect with him. If there is a connection, way to reach out to him, so let us know.
Sadly, he's passed away.
Oh, didn't know that. Okay.
He passed away.
Yeah.
I'm in touch with his wife, but he passed away.
Yeah, and the fact that he taught mathematics, and for the first time, he was the one who taught us computer science also. I don't know how he pulled that off, but that was just amazing. The level of contribution, academic contribution that you all made, and post BNKS, when you went to Dubai, you stuck mostly on the administration side. Why was that? Is it because of the experience that you learned in BNKS also, or was it something that you wanted to try it out differently? I know you take that time as a moment of regret in your life in a way, because you wish you were stuck in the academic side. But what prompted you to go into the administration aspect?
Well, I think it's basically, Kiran, is destiny. I won't say it was something which was done sort of in a planned way, but it was just destiny. After I moved into Dubai, and the first school was another very exclusive school called the Dubai Modern High School. And Modern High School was an Indian curriculum school. And I was what they call the senior supervisor on which is equivalent to like a vice principal. It was a very small school. It had when I joined, it had about 305 students. And I was entrusted with the major task of bringing up the school numbers. Because unlike Buranilkantu School, where there is such a demand for places, in Dubai, it's a very competitive market. And again, it's so price driven that sometimes getting into schools is extremely difficult. But Modern School was a very nascent school. It was still very young. So again, we had to set up new systems, new things. And so in the natural course of the things, I was given more administrative roles, like looking after things and not so involved with the academic side of things. So it was basically monitoring the teachers and doing the other thing, but nothing beyond that. So that went on. And in the year at the end of 1992, I moved into the university sphere, basically because sadly, wherever you go, teaching is one of the most poorly paid professions, as you are aware. While we play such a vital role in educating, in creating, in developing professionals, it's one of the most poorly paid jobs that you could have, even in a city like Dubai. So I had no other option but to move into universities, and I was taken into universities basically because of my startup expertise as well as my administrative skills. So I moved into, as I say, by chance. But then again, it was another learning sphere, because from there I moved into what they call quality assurance and institutional effectiveness. I moved into HR. So there were some spheres of HR. So for me, it was learning. And while I still believe I'm a born teacher. Give me a chalk, give me a board, and I can teach any subject, and I would love it because that's in you, that you cannot take away. That you cannot take away. But then again, destiny takes you different paths. So such is life. But
so you might be happy to know that at least 3 of the people here are teaching. Janak Dai, he's a teacher. So is Professor Ramraj, he teaches in the university, and Kamlesh Bhai, you also teach in the university. And then I know Kaushal down the road is going to be teaching somewhere. He's finishing up his PhD. So again, lot of influence.
oh. So
Yeah.
Ramraj, which university are you teaching in?
Sorry, I'm at University of Massachusetts Lowell. It's in Boston, near Boston.
Hey, all right, good on you. That's nice to hear that. Okay.
Yep. Fantastic. And by the way, I wanted to ask that in the beginning, how's your health and how is Purnima ma'am doing? And how is it like being a grandparent for, I don't know.
Oh, that's a different dimension. You know, as I always say, being grandparents is a totally different dimension because you know what that's saying, Purnima? Saw on the suit, you know,
Yeah.
saw on the suit.
Yeah, sound on the badge. Sound on the
Yeah.
badge.
So batch is more important. So
Yeah.
you know, our batches are, and I have good time.
Can you bring her in the camera? Can you bring Purnima ma'am in the camera too, please? We want to see her.
Come a little while, just say hi to
Yeah.
the guide. You come, Kiran, you know Kiran.
Yes,
Hi.
you do. Namaste, Purnima ma'am.
That's Vishal.
Hazur, namaste.
You know.
You all were so small.
We used to
Yeah.
babysit when you guys were partying with all across the school.
Oh,
Remember?
yes. You remember our parties earlier?
Yeah, and we used to steal all of your food in the fridge that you cooked for your party people. While you were gone, you guys ate the best pork chop, and I mean the pork that you made, Purnima ma'am, was the
Thank
best
you.
ever.
Thank you.
I am sorry we raided your fridge when you were gone, but that was the best pork ever. I mean, you guys would be because the games that you played, I think you had to change your dresses. You'd go from one house to the next house, right? You did that, right? So at that
I
time,
love my Annapurna.
yeah.
Brelkanta Annapurna, I can never forget.
No,
That's the best house I can.
Kiran, you wouldn't know this, but Purnima, what she did was she visited Bangalore some time back, and she made a little plaque, you know, the one you put outside your door.
Yeah.
And you know what it says?
Annapurna.
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 That's amazing. I mean, yeah.
So you know, I went to Dubai, I went all over the world, Australia, the UK, or US, whatever. But for me, that experience at Annapurna House, that joy, and of course, in terms of Annapurna, no, Annapurna,
Yeah.
as such, it's
Really. We were
I
lucky
have to, I have to ask one question to Purnima ma'am.
Tell
So
me.
one day I was coming down from principal's office all the way down. You were after Robert sir with the kutso. I don't know what prompted you to do. What was that for?
No. I don't think so. I ever ran after Robert with Kucho. I was cleaning and it just happened that he was going. out
Robert
and-
just jumped and he
Ma'am,
ran.
it was for Kiran Dai. He was up to something mischievous. So he was maybe you were up to Kiran Dai. He was doing a lot of mischievous
to be
things,
honest,
I know.
you know better. Why
Yeah.
do they call the wife the home minister? You know that.
Just for the namesake. Just for the namesake.
Babita, your time will come, don't worry.
So, yeah, good time. Thank you for calling me. See you.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
packing up.
Thank you, Purnima ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maham. Just a quick one, Kiran. If I may,
Of course.
I didn't have the good fortune in Buranilkanta when we were there to have young ladies studying there. and now you see the change, and it's good. I think this the change, and of course, I think we have to congratulate and thank Hira for taking an active role in this. Bringing in girls to the school made such a different change, a different dimension, added a different dimension, because, you know, I think having girls, of course, boys will always be boys, but
bottom line is girls are better than the boys.
Okay, now there you see.
I agree. I totally agree, man.
Thank you, ma'am.
We get 5 girls.
I can't say it now. Hira, my lips are sealed. No, but to be honest, I think it was a very wise decision. It was a very wise. I think creating equal opportunities for girls and boys, big plus point.
Yeah, I think when you get a chance, I'm going to send you a link of our conversation last month with John and ma'am, and then
I would love to see that. I tried. I looked at it.
Yeah, we will send that to you as well. We'll share that. And again, Hira ma'am and John and ma'am talked about we specifically talked about the challenges when the first batch of girls came in, and how it was like, what they felt, what they had to go through. It was an eye-opening experience to hear all of them mention that. So I want to go back to the theme of service through leadership. When I look back with our time in Brand Control and your time subsequent to Brand Control, it's always been about leadership and providing service to the community. Where did that come from? How did you even decide on service through leadership for house motto for Annapurna House? What prompted you to choose that?
Interesting. Kiran, interesting you say that, because it was, you used to have the break when you guys used to go back home. And there was those 2 months and you do nothing in the school. So I used to do a lot of planning. I used to think, how could I make systems better? What could I do? And, I was pretty handy with the hands. So I used to do a lot of carpentry work, a lot of painting myself, because I always liked the house to be spick and span once you guys came back from your holidays. And then, of course, to be honest, my biggest mentor in those days was David Burgess. And, he came up with a motto for his house. So, I thought, what should we do? What can we do? How can we do it? So I went to the library, and of course we had the lovely Miss Mulmi there. Miss Mulmi, I said, I need to look at some encyclopedias. So I couldn't get anything. So I was racking my brains, and then, I said, leadership. I wanted leadership somewhere there. Then I said, now, if leadership, what could you do? Become a leader, make a leader. And we didn't have the tools that you have today. Today you have, as a teacher, you have so many beautiful tools that you could use to create anything you want, from a slogan to a logo to a motto to anything. And so I thought a lot, and I think that, as you say, sometimes wisdom comes from God Himself. And I just got a light, and I said, service to leadership. And I said, you couldn't have coined a better term for what, in fact, Buranilkanta stands for. While it's the Annapurna House motto, I think it's what Buranilkanta's, it should be the motto for Buranilkanta, service to leadership, that we are producing leaders, irrespective of where they go, but we are producing leaders.
Yeah, I've always wondered how you came up with the thing. And then the whole life that has been the guiding principle for so many of us who went through Annapurna House, as well as through the Brand and the school system itself.
Well, you must know that it's a great pride for us that now we have one who will follow that model. Dr. Magle is now the one of the Parliament, and it's such a great opportunity for us. That's a great one.
Absolutely. So what would your advice be for the current principal of Wollongong School? Like, what should he be focusing on? I know there's a lot of changes there. What are some of the based on your own time in BNKS, subsequent to BNKS, now as a retired person looking down on the whole schema of things, what should the school be focusing on?
See, I think one of the, as I mentioned earlier, Kiran, I think the biggest drawback of Buranigan, I mean, look at the August gathering. I'm with you, Professor Ramraj. Now look at my Ramraj Gautam, isn't it? Okay, look at Ramraj, and you say this. He was a tall, lanky fellow in school. You know, hardly ever spoke, very quiet. Now professor of law in the University of Massachusetts in Boston. What are we gaining from him? This is what Buranigan should be doing. We should be capitalizing on this. I'm so proud. It makes me so proud. We should be capitalizing. What can we gain from them? What can we do? So I think the first direction that the leadership at Buranigan should be looking at it, how can we use our alumni to get the maximum benefit? We need to use the alumni to get the maximum benefit. Not necessarily, it's not all about money. It's not about endowments. But it's about how can we use their knowledge, their wisdom, and of course, if there are financial resources available, why not? Okay, that's one thing. The second thing I think that we need to look at is the school as a whole. Yes, don't concentrate on only the O-level and the A-level students who are passing out. Even down below at the grade 10, those who move out. What support systems do we have in place for them to fall back? Remember, Kiran, remember, we are bringing students raw material, as I said at the start, raw material from Jumla, from Mustang, from wherever we are bringing them, Teratum or Ramechap, we are bringing them into the school. We're teaching you how to use a toothbrush. We're teaching you how to how to have a shower in the cold water, how to dress, how to make your bed. Om Prakash said he visited the school and he was surprised at the state of the dormitories. I said, we trained you guys at just make your bed, dust your clothes, make your bed, put your bed, and okay, later you can come and sit down. There wasn't a problem with that. But it has to be spotless in the morning. And then you guys would pull your sheet, everything would do it. It was just basic training. So what I think is we need to be able to instill these values. So leadership at Buranigan needs to be looking at ways and means of those students who we bring out from the remote areas, giving them a future, guiding them to get into university, guiding them on the finances. Where's the finances going to come from? How are they going to go into university?
Right.
I mean, I think the best example we can look at is Janaka. Janak could give us a good background on what he went through. Of course, he got into the higher level. But the bottom line is, you come from one part of the world, and then you can't. While we would like you to go back there and make a difference, it doesn't happen. So you stay in Kathmandu. Even if you stay, what did you do? What do I learn? What do I study? What are my strengths? How can I? So that's the second thing which I think. See, results will always be results. The kids, you guys, despite all the problems and the difficulties you face and the resources that you face, you're much better off than the rest of the students in Nepal. But still, we should be topping on a regular basis, and we did top to a great extent. But bottom line is, it should go right throughout. So leadership should be having support systems within the school so that everybody gets a chance and an opportunity to do well. So I think but the most important thing which leadership has to do at the present moment, I think, is a paradigm shift towards thinking, what is the vision of the school? What is the purpose of the school? Why was the school set up? I think I mean, again, we worry too much about the budget and whether we've got it or not. Oh, come on, that's something which it's called creative accounting, creative budgeting. And I'm sure Ramraj will be able to give us lots of ideas on how to do it. But this is where we are losing. We need to shift from those things as to the real value of what Buranikanta stands for. The students themselves, the alumni. I'm a firm believer that the alumni is one of the strongest, is the strength of Buranikanta. And if somebody told me, what would you do if you were Buranikanta headmaster? First thing I would do is get the entire alumni, in connection to each and every one, and ask them what they're doing. Get the databases, talk to them. What can we contribute? What can you give back to the school? What can you give back to the school? Not as I said, not necessarily money, ideas, thoughts, concepts. I mean, there's so much that you could do. So much that you could do.
So thank you very much, sir. I sincerely appreciate. I know we are, I think, just a little past that formal time that was allotted for us.
I'm sorry, I talk a bit too much.
No, but if there are conversations from anybody, again, the floor is open. Hira ma'am, Janak, any questions that you've always wanted to ask Robert, Silas G.
Silas Dai is keeping very quiet.
I know.
I think it's way past his bedtime.
No,
No,
I
he-
am. It's not past my bedtime. It's just I'm very. I think your point, Wilson sir, about being connected, really resonated with me because of life circumstances, and we are all living our own lives, and we're raising children and families, and I have 4 children, and my capacity to remain connected with Buranikanta School has diminished over the years, and just because of the nature of life, and I think we are all now entering a stage maybe where we will have some more time available in the next coming years, and so I think your point about being connected is very important, and I think the vision. I went to Buranikanta School when I visited Nepal last year, and I was really shocked at the level that it had. I hate to use the word sunk. I think the outer visuals looked very nice when we walked in, but as we went through the dormitories and I took my kids, and when I was showing them Nilgiri House where I was and some of these other places, they were quite shocked at the disrepair and the lack of maintenance. And I think we have a tendency. I read a book recently called Mindset. Has anybody read that book? I would highly recommend it. The book Mindset really comes to mind when I think of Buranikanta School, because I think you made a very excellent point. We get very focused on budget, but I think what we need is vision. And I think if we have vision, budget flows. I think if you have a vision for the school that takes you to the next level, I think the budget will flow. And I think the vision that was there from 1972 until maybe 1990 was a certain type of vision. But I think Nepal has changed. There's no monarchy. We're connected. The alumni are very successful. I think that the vision, the missing ingredient, what you said, is vision. And I think if we as an alumni can come together and maybe help with crafting a vision, then I think the budget will flow. And I think all of the things that you were talking about will come as well. Because my hesitancy to even participate the last few years has been, I just don't buy the vision. I just don't think that the vision is there. I don't think that the reason for the school's existence is as clear as it used to be. All of my cousins in Kathmandu and other places send their children to schools that are equal, if not better than Buranikanta School nowadays. And so to me, it's like, what is the value proposition of Buranikanta School? And what is the reason for its existence? And what is the dent that it is going to make in Nepalese society beyond the education and a ticket to go abroad for students? So I think that there's a very big discussion that is to be had, and I hope as my time becomes more available in the next few years, my children are graduating high school soon, and I might have some time available that I would like to be a part of. So thank you so much for sharing your learnings, and I think you are spot on. I think the vision is lacking. So I think that's the biggest thing. So I will end there.
Yeah.
Well said, Silent. Well said. I mean, I thought very well said.
Yeah, well said. All right, Tamrakar sir, namaste to you as well. Tamrakar sir also joined, it looks like. So anybody else? So the next
Kiran,
month,
just
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, Mr. Wilson, like I do get that we are not, I mean, that proactive in, helping the school as much as we should, but within our batch, and I think that's what we have, like within our batch, we are really tight together. We meet like on a weekly basis. If we have a gathering somewhere around our area, we meet often. And we do get to meet like Kiran Dai and, even Kamal Dai was here earlier. So we get to meet, and we really have a very tight-knit family. It's just like how to give back to the school. I mean, that vision, as Silas Dai said, is the missing piece, I think. And that's, and I think leaders like Kiran Dai, I think they are helping us, unite in that effort.
I have to say, I'm very pleased that you guys are in touch with each other and that you are maintaining those links, because there's nothing like school friends. You spend so much of your life, in the small little rooms or in the big dorms, wherever you are in, and those are very important. And I'm glad. I mean, touch wood, we live in an era where you can't say that keeping in touch is difficult, because you've got practically all the tools available to you, your Zooms and your your WhatsApps and your messengers and all. And it's so nice to be in touch with you guys. And I think that's very, very important. And I'm glad you guys are keeping in touch. But again, as I said, keeping in touch is one thing. We need to now focus on what are the changes we can bring about to our school. I call it our school. I call it our school. I wouldn't have put the signage of Annapurna outside my house if it didn't have any meaning for me. It was not something, it's a showpiece, because it has meaning for me. It is you guys who impacted me. And so that school has impacted all of us in a way. But what can we give back? I don't know. To be honest, it's easy to talk. But the action plan needs to be there as to how can we advise the school management? There are, of course, there are political scenarios, there are financial restrictions, there are all that kind of, I mean, like Silas says, walking to the school and you see the state of the school and you say, why? I mean, you walk in there and your children say, Dad, did you really study in this school? Did you really study in this hole, in this pit? And you say, do you really want to go back? I mean, I was there in I think sometime when they had that reunion and they were opening the new block somewhere down below there. I mean, even then it was, it was not classy. We're Buranilkanta school. We're not an ordinary school. You are products of one of the top-notch schools in Nepal. But now, it ranks among the one, as low as any other government school, to be honest. Why? Why? I use that expression. If it's not good enough for my son, it's not good enough for anyone's. If it's not good enough for my son, it's not good enough for anyone's son. And if you're not proud to send your son back to the school, then there's something wrong somewhere. We need to change. They need to change. We need to bring about a change by forcing them to make a change. How we're going to do that? We have brains. We have the expertise. We have the knowledge. We have the strength. I say the alumni has the strength to bring the change. Kiran, you have the strength to bring change. Yeah, you know better. You're a master in all of this. I heard him lecturing the senior guys there. I said, my God, look at this fellow. Look where he has reached. The mayor of one of the towns in the US. You say, what a success story. We need change. And change is important. Change is important.
So the next three speakers in this series are going to be Miss Tulip is going to be next month. So looking forward to Miss Tulip from Australia. Then we have also the other teacher that none of us probably in this call might remember her, but she was a Nepali teacher, Nepali language teacher. I think her name is Manju Nirola. I don't know if any of Janakdai would remember, right? Manju Nirola ma'am. She was a Nepali teacher, so she's going to be the speaker after that. And then we have Mike Skole sir later on, following the third one. So we'll be talking to Mike Skole as well. So what an amazing group of people, and we'll be coming after that. Again, the open invitation I'll be reaching out to Hira ma'am as well as Salim sir and then Tamrakar sir. So we have a whole couple of years planned ahead for us. So we hope to continue this series, monthly series. So thank you everyone for joining. Again, the floor is open. Officially, we can conclude, but if there's any question from anyone to Wilson sir or any each other, that would be great. Go ahead, Janakdai.
I just have one question, not a question, but just like I just want to thank everybody. I met Ramras really well now, and what Monosai or 268? No, not 268.
That's
That's you.
So
this is Janek Chemjong speaking, Robert sir.
Yes.
And I used to write Janak Limbu then, but now I am writing Janak Chemjong. And I have a question like, if I come to Dubai in December, how can I meet you, yourself and madam?
I'm not in Dubai, Janak.
Oh, okay.
I retired from Dubai. I'm now very happy. I would say very happy in Kathmandu. And it's been health-wise, it's been a bit of a tricky journey because I retired in June of last year. Then I came into Kathmandu, and the last 6 months has been pretty traumatic. No, I won't say traumatic, but pretty hectic, because I had to have both my hips replaced. So I had a hip implant done on the left, the right first, about in August, the 11th of August last year. And then 2 months later, I did the other leg. So now, touch wood, I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm ready I can move and without much pain. So I'm, in fact, ready to start playing football. That's if Madam Purnima allows me. She said there's no chance you'll be allowed to play football.
Oh, so that means you are in Kathmandu, right?
I'm in Kathmandu permanently, so you're most welcome to come and visit me.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, definitely in July, this July. Yep,
Oh, I'll be there. I will be there.
Definitely, I will find out. And yep, that's what my question was. Okay, the floor goes to Kiran now.
Yeah, again, floor is open to everybody. Wilson sir, the newest member in this cohort is who got a PhD is my good friend Prakash Sai. So I want to congratulate him on his PhD as well.
My God.
Congratulations. It's a little old, but yeah. It's in business.
Okay. From which university?
Sorry?
Which university?
University of Missouri, St. Louis.
Okay. Oh, good.
Right near where I work.
Can you believe it?
Oh, great.
You know, for me, it's a matter of great pride that, you know, these guys have, you know, they have got their doctorate and ready to go in. So what do you plan to do? Get into teaching?
Maybe I'm working for the corporate in offices now, but yeah, eventually I want to get into teaching.
Good on you. Get into teaching.
But I do have a question for you, Mr. Wilson. You know, in one of the fond memories I had of BNKS is you were, besides being a great teacher and a mentor, you were a pretty good singer too. And I do remember, you you sang. I remember the song you sang was like you living on a jet plane. It was kind of right before you left BNKS, and it really taught me. I'm sure it taught other people too, and I still remember that. And I tell my kids and my wife, like, hey, when I talk about BNKS, I tell that story. So I hope you're still sing and you still rock and roll.
I do. I don't know about doing well, but I do try to sing and enjoy it. I always remember that I wanted to sing a song to you guys that I'm heading off. I mean, it was something. It was a new challenge in life, but Simon Thom came up to me and said, "Okay, let's get the band going and let's do a sing song." And so we just sang "I'm Leaving on a Jet Plane." Don't know when I'll be back again, but
I remember that.
40 years back, I'm back, and as I said, I'm loving it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we sang some great songs during the time. Simon and Garfunkel song also. I think yeah.
And I do remember your dogs, Subhas, right?
Subhas,
Yes,
after the famous whiskey.
There was one famous Nepali song that we actually sang and our house won, but I could never find the lyrics for that ever. So I can only remember a couple of lines. It was Tribeni Melaima Bheteko. Yeah. So I could only remember the first 4 lines, but I couldn't get the rest of the lyrics. I reached out to Richard, to your brother, to see your brother, Patrick. See if he remembered, because he was the one who came and taught us at that time, and even he didn't remember that the full lyrics of that. So yeah, that is a great song though. Yeah, good times. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So
Kiran, there was, I think, Bobita or somebody was raising hand.
Bobita, go ahead.
Namaste everyone. Myself, Bhavita, 8126D, 8000D badge. So I think I'm much younger than all of you guys. I live in Georgia, USA right now. And so I have a question to Robert Wilson, sir. So it's really wonderful hearing all the stories and all the memories you had in BNKS. Unfortunately, we were not there, but it feels good to hear all the stories. So my question is like, how often your students come back to you, or like if they see you around, or if you meet somewhere outside any country, like in any countries or in Kathmandu, like how often they get in contact with you, or like they check on you, like saying, hey, how are you doing? Like, you're our teacher and stuff like that. And how do you feel about like?
I feel great. To be honest, I just love getting in touch with, as I said, the last student I met was Om Prakash. I mean, he's a professional photographer, and I was sitting there and I was chatting to him, and we were, he was telling me about his life and what he went through. Very, very nice. Almost about 3 hours we were chatting. I always welcome students because it gives me great pleasure to talk to them. It's good to learn. When I was in Dubai, we had a little group there going, and we met quite often, and we talked a lot. I'm back in Kathmandu, and I get lots of calls from my students and say, "Sir, can I come and see you?" In fact, I was very touched. I was on the hospital bed just getting my operation, and I had a visit from one of my students. Maybe you remember his name? Kunal. Kanal, yeah. As you get old, you forget names. No, but I can't remember the names. But he came over and he sat and we chatted again, and he left. He started weeping profusely. As soon as he entered, and I said, "Why are you crying, son?" He said, "Sir, I don't like seeing you like this on the bed." I said, I can't help it. I will get I said, I'm absolutely okay. Give me some time, I'll be okay. But I was so touched. I was so touched that he felt, sympathy and empathy for me. And I said to myself, son, I'm absolutely okay. Don't worry. You come home and we'll see. And again, he stayed. He said, sir, I heard that you were in the hospital, and so therefore I came to see you. And I said, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming. I had, what's his name? Rashid came in to see me. Steve Pandey, lot of students, they all keep coming back. Mostly, not only, I would say not only mostly Annapurna, we had a lot of other students who come in. And, so it's a great joy. It's a great joy, Babita, to meet them. Yeah, Kanchan is a regular, Kanchan Basnat is a regular. And once he's in Dubai, we always meet without fail. I had a visit from what's his name? Donald Duck. What's his name?
Paras. Everybody remembers the Donald Duck.
So touch wood, I've been blessed. And Babita, I'll tell you one thing. We as teachers, while we're in the class, we're different personalities because that's education involved. So, we tend to be in a different sphere, but we're still human. And as humans, we love you guys. And for you to come and see us and to talk to us and to say hi, that gives us so much spirit and so much energy. And I'm sorry, but I didn't like what you said. Unfortunately, we didn't get to meet you. I would say I was unfortunate not to be in Buralilkanta when girls were introduced. Because I think...
Sorry, just my daughter.
Hello.
The one who got married.
Hi, how are you? Namaste, Pita, how are you?
I'm fine.
My teacher, Mr. Wilson, my friend Kiran.
My Sati, Bisalai.
Oh, yes. 304.
So what's she doing now? What is your daughter doing, Vishal? What's your daughter doing?
What you doing?
I'm working in my husband's company.
Now she's supporting, looking after the warehouse and all this stuff, accounting.
Very good, very good. Way to go. So proud of you. Your daughter's, my God, look at this. Hello, look at it. Who thought you'd have got married and had a daughter that big?
I didn't want to do it. I didn't call you, but you were out. You couldn't join.
God bless. God bless.
I'm coming. Okay.
That's awesome. Thank you, sir.
I know. Maybe one. I know it was nice hearing a lot of fond memories from Wilson sir. In the last hour, I just wanted to ask, like, among all those different things, different memories from Buralilkanta, if you were to think back and think now, and if you were to think as to one most unforgettable, memorable incident or moment that you had in Buralilkanta, what would that be?
Well, there were so many. There were so many. I think for me, if you ask me what was the more than an experience or a memory, I think it was one of the changes which I brought about at Buralilkanta School, which I guess many of you guys didn't know about. It was early, late 1983. We used to get the bread that you used to have in school from Krishna Pauroti. And Krishna Pauroti was always, I always wondered, why is the bread coming from Krishna Pauroti? This is a school which it should have its own infrastructure. So at the housemaster's meeting, I said, why are we getting bread from Krishna Pauroti? So the other members of the team said, the other housemaster said, well, it's because it comes in from Kathmandu. So I said, why aren't we making our own bread? So everybody's ears pricked up. So then Mr. Tyson said, that's a good idea. She says, can you take it up with Brigadier Norman Roberts, who was the bursar then? So I said, sure. So next day I went with him with a plan, and I said, why don't you, he says, where's the space? I said, look, you got this the storeroom where you're keeping your vegetable, move it into the next storeroom and create the bakery there. And he said, yeah, but it's I said, look, so why can't you get the ODA to sponsor it? We need to have a bakery in the school. And he said to me, I think we could do that. It's a good idea. And that's something I take great credit in, that I was instrumental in making a change in the school, starting. Yeah, the Ashok Leyland bus. So a lot of things we did, a lot of things I did. I don't know if you remember that we had the uniforms, that those horrible corduroy uniforms, which after a little while started looking like you know, like you had Luto on it. All the little pieces had fallen off. I hated it. Said, what kind of uniform? And I remember I went into the housemaster's meeting and I said, this material which this trousers which I'm wearing is from the mill in Viratnagar. Why can't we use our own stuff? Why can't we make these trousers from that? That's where Mrs. Tyson then picked up the idea, and we shifted from those horrible corduroys or Luto corduroys that we had to the grey trousers, which for a long time you guys had. I don't know what you wear nowadays, but that's what you had. So, you know, these are moments which I remember, and there was so much to do, so much to think about. But, you know, you're restricted in many ways. But as I said, too many memories, Ramraj. I can't picture one.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I think being a housemaster and being the deputy headmaster, I think, was another dimension. And I think among the memories I had was, you know, sitting outside the headmaster's office in the evening after the 6:30 lunch that we used to have, and talking to the Makalu and Nilgiri boys. And they used to love me telling them stories. I used to tell them stories, ghost stories, all made up ghost stories, and they used to love it. And I think that was a very happy memory, because you sat with about 15, 20 boys and they say, some more, tell us some more stories. And I used to tell them stories. It's occasionally, but those were nice memories. Those were nice memories.
So one of the defining moments for me under your tutelage at that time was during a cross-country race. If you remember, we would have to run outside the boundaries and all that stuff. But there was one particular year where you made us line up, where you line us all up, those who crossed before, and you line us up all the way from the Kanchenjunga house, all those people who came, to make sure that the last person made that journey, and we had to clap that person, and then for making that effort. That was just fantastic, and I recall very, very vividly. It didn't make sense then, but it made so much sense later on, saying, hey, everybody needed that encouraging. And this person crushed. This person, had it not been for our clapping, everybody encouraging him. And then now I look at the youths of today, and then I volunteer a lot, especially with the U.S. Navy, the Youth Cadet Corps here in the United States, and I'm helping them. And then the battle buddy system that they have exactly mimics that support that is needed for your buddy during the time of war or wherever it's needed, to give that extra push, and that everybody needed that extra push. So that was very, very powerful and meaningful to me. So I appreciate that.
I don't remember it, Kiran, but
yeah,
these things I did were so spontaneous. Because, you know, you need to encourage guys, you need to give them support, you need to have that. And, you know, didn't do it with any motive in mind, but just out of pure love for the school.
Yeah. All right. What a lovely conversation we had. Hi,
Hey,
Charlie.
Mr. Wilson.
Hi.
I just got back home. I had to join because you're on, and I'm so happy to see so many of us following your leadership on at least on the hairstyle.
I like that one.
I mean, that's like, a role model. Thank you.
God bless. God bless. Where are you based now? Where are you?
I'm in Oregon in US. Yeah.
The whole spectrum of the US you are there. Look at that.
Yeah.
Janak, where
I was just thinking about your stories and I think like at that time it feels like all the teachers all the way from like the headmasters and bursars were so devoted in improving the school and us as individuals, right? So like your idea about starting a bakery, and I remember like after bursar, like the Gorul Zarsa became the bursar, and
yes.
I was one of the prefects, and they were serving croissant to like some special occasion, and I said, sir, like why can't we like give this to the whole like students in like one of the different option? And he goes like, great idea, we'll do it. I think there was like that spirit across like the whole staff and teachers, and everybody was like, if somebody had a good idea, it was never shut down. It was like everybody supported it and ran with it. And I think that's what I hope it's still continuing. But I mean, I had like so many of those conversations with teachers, like coming from a student. If a student gave an idea, it was never shut down. It was like encouraged to speak up and be creative and all that. So I mean, it just like makes me feel young again after listening to your story. So thank you.
God bless them. God bless.
Yeah, Charlie and I were I don't know if Charlie and I would remember or not, we were in the same rugby team with Mr. Bennett on the top kids.
I still have a bunch of scars to prove that I was on that.
Yeah, I remember that incident. Because I was never a rugby player. And rugby. So I said, I don't know how the hell to play rugby. But I said, I'm always game. Yeah. So David said to me, okay, you stay on the right wing. As soon as I throw the ball to you, you run. I said, run where? He said, just run like hell. So I said, okay. He threw the ball and I ran. I ran as fast as I could, because in those days I was pretty fast. And I took off, and I don't know where I reached, where you had to go. I didn't understand. Much later, in fact, in Dubai, we have the annual seven-a-side rugby tournament, the international rugby tournament, and you meet a lot of guys there, and it's fun. It's great fun. But you have to know what you got to do. So we were not taught the basics. And I remember that game we played. I think you bunged your knee, isn't it?
Yeah.
You bunged your knee. I remember quite a big cut you had on your knee on one of the bricks on the side of the pitch.
Well, I don't know why they had a brick marking the line on the pitch. I still have a big scar too.
It was pretty nasty. I remember that wound of his. Yes.
During that game, Mohan 258 and me, we went there as the spectators, but because you guys were short of people, they decided to put each of us on a different team. and I remember distinctly Charlie throwing a ball at me. I caught the ball And the next thing I remember was Mr. Borges on top of me, and everybody was, I could hardly breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was no, Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett was on my mouth. I could hardly. It just was crazy time at that time. So, yeah.
And then I remember like we sang a Billy Joel song pretty badly. And then the next time around, like we had like Mr. Wilson and some other teachers like had this like crazy band.
Yeah, Simon
showing us
Simon.
Yeah. Showing us like how it should be done. You know, like it was like, yeah, there was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun memories. And
yeah. All right, all good things must come to an end. So I sincerely appreciate everybody joining this evening. Thank you. I hope you guys will continue to join us next month with Mrs. Tulip on the call. So again, please contribute like Kaushal Bhai said. We're doing a lot of fundraisers to start e-libraries across countries. I think $600, $700 will help us in one school. We'll continue to do that. So if you want your calendar, I know I brought a bunch of copies of my calendar. It's in my car still. So this year's calendar is out starting in May. So we can mail those over to you. You can send the address to Kaushal Bhai. You can drop it in the chat here also. We can mail those physically to you as well. But thank you for the leadership. Thank you to the SEBS North American leadership. Thank you to Kaushal Bhai. And we'll make this video available, and it will be archived, and we'll send it to the school library as well for the posterity to look at that. So thank you again, everybody. Have a good night. Take care.
Good night. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Good night.
Keep in touch.
Will do.
Bye.
Thank you.